Can I have a motion on the minutes? Move seconded. All those in favor, contrary, carried. Our next committee meeting will be April the 4th in this very council chambers. And the first item on, we have 3 items on the agenda today, is an application by 1265028 BC for rezoning at 8180 Heather Street from an RS1E zone to a single detached RS2A zone. And the recommendation is to be introduced and given first reading. And we have in front of us Alex, and I was going to say Mr. Craig has changed again. Okay, may I welcome Alex, you're on.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. So I'll be providing a brief summary of the application here. So the proposed rezoning has been requested in order to facilitate the subdivision of 1 single detached RS1E lot to 2 single detached RS2A lots. This is a corner property, so one lot will be accessed from Heather Street, while the other will be accessed from Dixon Avenue. There is an existing owner-occupied single-family dwelling on the property. This home does not contain a secondary suite. Minimum 1-bedroom secondary suites will be provided within each of the new dwellings as part of this development. Submission of a landscape plan with minimum 5 new trees and associated security is required prior to final rezoning in order to ensure the outdoor space is enhanced and maintained. A legal agreement will be registered on title, ensuring that the building permit application and ensuing development of Lot 1 will be generally consistent with the submitted conceptual plans contained within the report. I'm happy to address any questions from the committee.
Councillor Day. Oh.
There you go.
Okay, you're on.
Somebody else did it. Thank you very much. We did receive a letter from somebody named Terry C. that was concerned about retaining walls. Has that issue been addressed?
So through the chair to Councillor Day, so the letter was actually from the neighbor to staff. And basically what had happened is we worked with the applicant to address the concern of the neighbor through email correspondence, which was attached to the report. And staff feels that the applicant and their team addressed the neighbor's concern.
All right. Thank you very much.
Any other questions? Okay, motion. Seconded. All those in favor, contrary, carried. Thank you very much. And the next item we have is an application we've had before, Grutenforst Flower Nursery for zone text amendments to the Agriculture AG1 to permit an additional single-family dwelling at 15,140 Westminster Highway. And the recommendation is that we grant it the existing because we're the purposes of accommodating accessibility features, and that be given first and second reading. And we have Stephen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a couple highlights of the application. The purpose of the application is to allow an addition to the existing additional dwelling at the subject site to accommodate accessibility features. The application is consistent with the Associated Council and Agricultural Land Commission approval. The occupant of the dwelling, also the head grower of the farm operation, was involved in an accident and now requires a wheelchair. The intent of the proposed addition is to solely accommodate a variety of accessibility features, including wheelchair maneuverability, space for physical therapy equipment, and storage for different types of wheelchairs. The subject zoning text amendment application is required in order to allow the proposed addition at the subject site only, consistent with the Associated Council and ALC approval. Happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions? Alexa? Can we connect her up? Thank you.
Thank you for this. So wouldn't it just be a straight building permit application? Like, aren't they still within their, the size of building for this site?
Want to take that? Through the chair to Councillor Liu, there was some additional provisions that needed to be allowed through the zoning text amendment in order to allow the building permit application to proceed.
And now, is that because we changed the rules on ALR land to make it so you had to have some on the second floor and some on the first floor? Is that part of it, or?
Yeah, that is one of the provisions that are allowed, in addition to allowing the additional dwelling as well on the property. Currently, only one dwelling per lot is permitted in the AG1 zone.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Councillor Day? Did I-
Thank you
There we
very
are.
much. So I see that on page PLN 46, that after reviewing the application, I'm satisfied the proposal is consistent with criterion 3 and approve the proposal. So that's from the ALC. So given that they have that approval, there's just no reason to not approve it. Would you agree? There's no other red flags coming up, so staff are recommending it?
Through the chair to Councillor Day, the subject zoning text amendment is consistent with the proposal that was presented to the ALC.
All right, perfect. I have no problem with this. Thank
And
you
they
so much.
followed all the rules, as we, remember, we dealt with this before, and we
Yes.
sent it back.
Yeah.
And it's taken this long to get it back here, so. Any other further questions on it? Andy? Sorry,
Thank you,
You're
through the
on.
chair. Yeah, I remember when we dealt with this before, and I think it's a great decision through the ALC, so I'm happy to support it, no problem. I think it's great, long-term family farming in Richmond, and we're able to accommodate the changes they need for accessibility reasons, and I think it's great, so thanks for doing all the work.
Okay, any other? Nice to see the ALC on board with us for once. Okay, all right, I don't see anybody, no speakers, a motion, moved, seconded. All those in favor? Contrary, carried. Okay, great, we're moving forward. Okay, item number 3 is an application by Matthew Chang, architect for rezoning at 7511 Albans Road and, St. Albans Road, that is, from single-family RS1E to a high-density townhouse zone, RTH zone. And the recommendation from staff is given first reading, and we got Edwin Lee and Wayne Craig again. Sorry about that. Edwin, you're on.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm going to provide a few notes about the applications. So the purpose of this rezoning application is to allow an infill development of 5 townhouse units. Vehicle access is proposed through an existing easement registered on the drive aisle of the adjacent 7-unit townhouse development to the north at 7433 St. Albans Road. A hammerhead will be provided on-site for on-site truck turnaround, and an SRW over the entire drive aisle, and the hammerhead on the subject site will be secured as a condition of the rezoning to enhance off-street truck turnaround movement for the adjacent townhouse complex at 7433 St. Albans Road. 7 by-law size tree and hedgerow located on site are identified for removal. 5 trees on the neighboring property to the south are identified for retention, and the proposed site plan has been adjusted to ensure protection of these trees. Preliminary landscape plans have been provided by the applicant. Staff will work with the applicant at the DP stage to modify the proposed on-site landscaping to provide as many replacement trees on site as possible. The project is expected to achieve step 4 of the energy step code, and the SA will be required for foundation improvements and relocation of a fire hydrant. I will be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, Councillor Day.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So I read the letters from the people in the townhouse complex just to the north of this site, and it's pretty obvious to me that this is an identical situation as the number 2 road in Blundell, where those 5 owners purchased those townhouses and had no clue that there was a easement on their property. So subsequently, the easement was registered as part of the strata property and not individually, as what I understand, having talked to 2 of the owners. They were completely unaware of this.
Through the chair to Councillor Day, my understanding is the covenant is registered both on the strata unit and the common property.
Okay, so then can you explain why the owners of this adjacent townhouse complex did not know about it?
Through the chair to Councillor Day, as Mr. Lee had pointed out, the agreements were registered on both the title of the common property and the individual units. The onus would have been on the unit owners and the purchasers, real estate agents and notaries to advise them of all appropriate notations and covenants that are registered on title to that property.
I don't mean to be argumentative, but Stephen writes that, no, we did not know about it. And Aliza Sison writes that when we bought our unit, our realtor and lawyer did not indicate anything about the easement upon closing. Also, nothing is mentioned about the easement in the strata minutes prior to our purchase of the property. So there's two individuals that simply didn't know. And I'm really concerned. I understand, according to the paperwork, that it was registered in 2001, long before those townhouses were built. So I'm really nervous about this one. I think that we're opening up a can of worms. And, you know, I realize that the builders have a legal right to use that property, but that doesn't mean it's right from a neighborhood perspective. It's certainly not a very neighborly thing to do. So I wanted to direct you to the map on page PLN 82. And I see there that there is on the complex directly to the, there's a better map on, where are we? I guess it's 85, where it seems like the complex to the south of this new development already has a driveway right on the fence line of this project. So what I was curious about is, in the interest of, you know, creating a happy neighborhood, would it be possible to maybe move, instead of having the 3 townhouses on the St. Albans side, to maybe move one of those to the back and then widen the driveway on the south side of the property, so that the people from the complex below and then the complex to the south and these could all come in through the same way, just to alleviate some of the pressure on the other townhouse complex. Is that possible to relocate that?
Through the chair to Councilor Day, there's no easements or SLW registered on title of the property to the south.
Yeah.
In terms of providing a separate driveway on the south side of this property, I think we need to ask staff from transportation regarding having 2 townhouse driveways side by side.
So if we eliminated the 3rd townhouse on the south side, so you've got 1, 2, 3 along St. Albans, if the 3rd one on the south end was eliminated, would that be enough space for a driveway?
Yes, there will be enough space for a driveway.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was kind of thinking. I thought that might be a better option because, again, you've got people that had absolutely no clue. And I think maybe we should have further discussion with the owners of the property to the north, which is 7511 St. Albans, because, I don't know, I think we should be more flexible on this one and potentially not create a war zone in that neighborhood. So I'd actually like to make a motion to refer this back for more consultation with the residents of the 5 units to the north at 7511 St. Albans.
I think you bring up a bigger issue here. It's very difficult to micromanage on some people who follow the rules to get to this stage because somebody didn't tell somebody else what they should have told them when they purchased. You're now trying to be the marshal in town to say, I want to correct everything that was a mistake before. And I think it brings up a bigger issue. I'm not going to support referral. I'm going to follow our rules. But I think I might to staff, how many places in Richmond do we have that have easements on them already, next door, if you wish, or city walkways or right-of-ways, and that, is that something that we can find out? Is that an easy thing to find out for future development? So that if I have a piece of property and it's next to a townhouse, they already know I have an easement through their driveway. Is it, or am I asking for the impossible?
I see Mr. Craig.
Okay, thank
Turn
you.
his light on.
Through the chair, in terms of determining how many properties there are statutory rights-of-way or easement for access, that would be a relatively difficult thing to determine. Having said that, I would say that it is a very common approach by the city to secure consolidated access as a way of managing driveway access to roads, especially roads where we are looking to install significant cycling infrastructure. And in terms of the amount of traffic that would be utilizing the driveway in total, we do have many townhouse projects in the city that would have more than 12 units using the same driveway.
And many of these would have been established and on land title before our time, so to speak. They would have been done years previously, am I not correct?
Through the chair, yes. Anytime there is a shared driveway access situation, there is an agreement registered on title, as identified by Mr. Reese and Mr. Lee. Disclosure of those registrations on title is a responsibility of the conveying professional, that being a notary of a public or a lawyer.
Unfortunately, people have not done their job and have taken advantage of people, and I guess they just want to sell it and get it through, and people are left with it, which is unfortunate, but we have to deal with one at a time. I'm going to go to Michael. Michael's on the screen. Can we?
Yep, thank you.
Thank you, Michael. You're on.
Great, thank you so much through the chair to staff. Thanks for being available. Just a couple of questions. One relates to the tree protection plan, and I'm looking at the map on our PLN 125. And I note in the tree inventory where they're being removed and not, and which ones are being retained on neighboring property. The one tree I have in question here is the number 685. It's kind of close to St. Albans. It's a large Douglas fir. And right across the property line, which is going to be saved, is the 701, which is also a Douglas fir. And so I was hoping you could confirm that there's still potential for this developer to either reorganize where buildings are or allow a fourth story component to it, or just some other way that perhaps, as was done on other properties, trees can be saved while density of this level is being built. And this property is proposing to do none on the property. And I think this would be the tree and the reason to make a change. So I'm not on a committee, I can't support referral, but maybe that would come in time, or if staff could just comment on if there's what possibilities the developer might have to work around that spot.
Okay. You can answer that.
Through the chair to
Okay. Can we connect
Councillor
that,
Wood.
please?
That tree is located at the southeast corner of the site. In order to keep that tree, they will have to remove at least one unit from the front, and it will be impossible to put another unit along St. Albans. The only possibility is to provide the outdoor amenity space along the major arterial road.
In addition to Mr. Lee's comments, I would just add that at the time of the reviewing of this application, we do look at the quality of the trees. These trees were deemed by the project arborist and our city arborist as being in poor quality and not recommended for retention.
Okay. Michael, are you okay with that?
Yeah, I'll speak at council if it goes there. Thanks.
Okay. All right, let's go back to Alexa.
Thank you, through the chair. Through you to staff. It seems to me we recently updated our arterial road plan policy, and that includes St. Albans. Is that correct? And so that talks about how we give people permission to do a development, and then there is a statutory right-of-way for small developments, with the idea that the next door neighbors will attach on to their driveways and use their driveways. Is that correct?
Through the chair to Councillor Liu, St. Albans is not part of the arterial road policy. It's located within the city center. There is a separate St. Albans plan. But I guess since early 2000s, we have started to minimize driveways on arterial roads in order to promote better traffic flow on the major arterials.
Okay, so, and when did we update this plan? Does anybody know off the top of their head?
City center plan?
Yeah, through the chair to Councillor Liu, this would have been updated as part of the update to the city center area plan, which I believe was around 2011.
2011, okay.
Yeah.
So, but since then, we've also done an arterial road policy update, which was more recent than that, which basically reaffirmed our commitment to reduce the number of driveways and to continue on with this particular plan of having people share their driveways. Is that correct?
Through the chair to Councillor Liu, that's correct.
Okay, thank you.
You okay with it? All right, Andy, Councillor Hobbs?
Thank you.
There you
Thank
go.
you. Thanks through the chair. Well, thanks for the report. I mean, I think everybody understands how when these developments come up that, you know, nobody likes finding out that their driveway is going to be shared. And a lot of people might not realize it. That's understandable too, because it's in the fine print. When it comes to developments, I'm just curious, do we have any kind of standard cutoff? You know, once you get to 50 units or 100, then you're going to have more than one access point, or is that more dependent on the circumstances, the roads, and the more complete picture?
Through the chair to Councillor Hobbs, I don't think there is a limit. Depending on the configuration of the site, we have plenty of larger townhouse development along arterial road with over 50 units, and they have only one driveway.
Okay, that makes sense. So just from my information or to clarify things, if you were to do a different option here, just theoretically, of adding a driveway to the south side of this and taking out one unit, for instance, wouldn't that affect the absolute viability of the project in general? If you took out one unit out of a development this size, would it be economically viable?
Through the chair to Councillor Hobbs, that would probably be a question best addressed by the applicant. However, though, to comment on that further, the driveway would result in an additional access point to St. Albans, another potential conflict point, both for turning movements and with future plans for a pedestrian, for a cycling route along St. Albans. So in terms of the loss would mean, it would most likely result in the loss of one unit. Mm-hmm. But the full extent of that would have to be determined through detailed design.
Okay, and my last question is, just when it comes to this issue, because it has come up, Councillor Day pointed out the one, I think she was talking about 2 in Blundell. Have we changed any practices or policies that might help to better inform people that buy into these complexes, and even if they didn't read the fine print, or perhaps they forget even down the road, have we changed anything to kind of create more of an awareness that this is happening?
Yeah, through the chair to Councillor Hobbs, yes, we have over the years introduced more requirements. We typically now register a statutory right-of-way on the property with a public right of passage. In addition, at the development permit stage, we are requiring signage to also be installed, clearly indicating to future residents that the driveway will be extended to provide access to them, so that they physically can see a sign that tells them that that driveway will be extended as well.
Right, well, that sounds like a great change. Thanks.
Okay. All right, Councillor Allen. There you are. You're on.
I understand that St. Albans is not an arterial road, but actually it's very busy. You know, you go by, you know, there's so many cars going on. So that's why I can understand the concern of people living on the north side of this proposed project. Now, on PLN, actually, Andy asked the question for me, because PLN 122 talks about there's already a driveway right now at the site. And so you answered the question that if this is going to be the entry into the new project site, you know, it would affect the number of units buildable in this location. And my other question is, this is not the first time we hear that people say that when they purchase the unit, they were not being told that there was an agreement of some kind. So what is the consequence to the people who are responsible for informing them when that happens? I mean, right now, are those developers, lawyers, realtors, do they have to bear any consequences if they, for some reason, did not inform the buyers for the legal obligations?
Mr. Chairman, perhaps I can respond to that. We're not talking about realtors here. We're talking about notaries and lawyers that are doing the property conveyancing. And yes, they have an obligation to disclose. And it's I feel for staff because we're not a party to all of those transactions, and we have no way of knowing what has transpired. But if a purchaser was not advised, then they would have a basis to take action against the professional that failed to disclose. But that would be a civil matter between the purchaser and the lawyer or the notary public. And so if there's an obligation to disclose, and if it isn't done, there are consequences if the owner wants to follow up.
Very good, thank you.
Okay. Yep, go Karen.
Missed this one. I do apologize. On PLN 117, there's a letter from all 7 owners of the property, the townhouses on the property to the north, and it was CC'd to Linda Reed, the MLA at the time. And what it says on page 118 in the second to last paragraph is, "We, the undersigned, are hereby applying to the City of Richmond to discharge the easements," 1, 2, 3, 4 of them, under the Land Title Act section. And they quote the reason for doing that is that in Section 71 of the Strata Property Act, that owners can approve a change or use of common property by means of a 3/4 vote if the change is significant. Well, with 100%, they have far more than a 3/4 vote. Whatever happened to that application to have that easement discharged? This was 2019.
Through the chair to Councillor Day, the city do not have the authorization to require the easement to be discharged.
But it says on page 110 that the easement was registered on the land by the City of Richmond in 2001 based on the application of the developer of 7433 St. Albans at that time. So if we put the easement on, why couldn't we take it off? So that's 110. It's 1, 2, 3, fourth letter. Fourth is Mr. Wayne Craig wrote back to, Mr. Lee, you wrote back to, I guess the owners of the property of those units. So I'm just wondering why, if in 2001 the city could put the easement on, could we not, at the request of the 7 owners, 100% of the owners, remove it?
Through the chair to Councillor Day, through the rezoning process, the city did require that an easement be put on the property to provide access to the adjacent property to the south. That easement is ultimately an agreement in place between the 2 private property owners, 7433 and 7511 St. Albans. The city is a party to that agreement only in that we would have to agree to any discharge, but the ultimate decision to discharge that document must be agreed to by both the property owners at 7433 and 7511.
So did we ever approach the other owner to see if they would agree to removing the easement? Because it's just that they did make a formal request to have it, taken away, so what?
Through the chair to Councillor Day, the other owner in this case is the applicant for this current rezoning that's in front of us, who is expressing their rights under that easement agreement to develop the property as proposed.
Yeah, well, I have reached out to the MLAs. I think that the Land Title Office needs to change the way they register things, so.
I would agree with that. Okay, are there any further comments, staff? All right, there's a motion on the floor. Seconded. Okay, to introduce and give first reading. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Contrary? Are you in favor? Yeah, contrary? Carol Days in. Yep. It does bring out a bigger issue, and we're going to see more and more of this. And thanks, Jeff. I think we as a committee, we can't correct and start penalizing people, you know. We just passed our council strategies when we want housing, and we're in a crisis. And we can't start coming just because something has come forward, start cutting people down. When they come with a good proposal, they've been in the queue for probably 3 years. And I think we got to think twice about what we can do. Nobody criticized any previous developments when they came forward. And I think, you know, it's the old issue, NIMBY concept that's we're facing. So I think that's why I asked the question, how many of these have we got? How can we deal with it? You mentioned to the MLAs, part of our problem sometimes is the MLAs in the province and the ALC, as I made a comment earlier with something we had to go twice on somebody that was handicapped, and we finally got the ALC on board. No common sense involved in it, you know, almost penalizing people because of their situation. And I think we as a council have to be just and look forward to and follow our true values. Unfortunately, what we can do is try to mitigate any discomforts and those kinds of things and put those kinds of things forward. And I think that's what we look to. If we recall, when we were on, was it Kiefer, whatever, we put speed bumps in both of them. When they were driving into the common driveway, we did a number, or suggested a number of things that were put into it, and I think it worked out very well. We haven't heard since then. So anyhow, it's gone forward, but if staff have any suggestion to us of how we can go ahead at future time to look at this, it would be greatly appreciated. So I just and maybe the staff can take that under advisement and maybe even chit-chat at a staff meeting or whatever that can help us, help them fully understand. Because as we well know, many of the realtors and the notaries and whatever just want to get the unit sold. They don't care, they don't look, they don't do their homework, and they don't list it. In many cases, they don't tell it's stratified. When people go to view and say, well, there's a strata here, et cetera, it's not freehold, and that kind of thing. We even hear those things today. So anyhow, enough Marlies, I'm hoping to be positive by moving forward on it, and council committee here will agree with that. Okay, that's in managers' reports. Any managers' reports or updates?
Yes, Mr. Chair, just one update for committee. The province is continuing to advance their work on the local government development approvals process review. City staff will be attending an upcoming session on development finance tools, which may include potential additions to new categories in which DCCs may be charged.
Okay, great, thank you. Any questions of staff? Anything else for the good of planning? Move adjournment? We're adjourned.